Hello and welcome to New Mobility Visions. I'm the editor, Alex Kreetzer, and today we have the brand new Nissan Leaf. Now, this particular model is top of the range and it comes in around £28,000. Now, that might seem a little bit on the expensive side. However, this is before the £4,500 grant the government are going to give to you, which goes a long way, and it puts it in a bracket which is very attractive to first-time EV buyers. Now, what's new about this Nissan? The main thing is how it looks, to be honest. I think it's a completely revolutionized look from the last Leaf. It really brings out a little bit more excitement and that futuristic qualities that EVs have. And I know certain manufacturers can get a bit carried away with futuristic designs, but I think they've got this spot on. If I had to have a complaint, or I've had to be picky, I'd probably say the rear needed a little bit of a spruce up, but all in all, it looks like a great vehicle. Now, the range has been, well, along with everything, the range has been increased. It says it's about 250 miles. However, in day-to-day driving, we're getting about 150. This does significantly drop on the motorway, but for everyday driving, you're looking at about 150, which is fine for the average commute. You're not going to be doing that many miles a day, so you're looking at maybe recharging this once or twice a week, depending on how far you drive. So without further ado, let's get it going. So as you can tell with any electric vehicle, it's completely silent. We are currently on, and looking at the infotainment system, it's very simple. I wouldn't say it was anything special. The quality isn't great, but it does everything you need it to do, so on that front I have no issues with it. Interior wise, it's got a nice premium finish where on the touch points, so the steering wheel feels great. These seats, which again is because it's top of the range, are great. There's heated seats in the front and back. They're very comfortable. However, with a lower down EV, or a lower down vehicle for that matter, you're going to get cheap plastic sort of things like that. A little bit scratchy here, but for the most part, there's nothing really to complain about that much. You notice that there is absolutely no sound whatsoever, which is something common with EVs. But what I find most interesting is that it drives much like a petrol or diesel Nissan. It's very smooth. The ride's very comfortable. I don't think there's really I don't feel like anything's missing. The power seems great, and everything is pretty spot on, to be honest. Now, if we move on to the sound, or lack of sound, many people seem to think that there is a issue with pedestrians, cyclists, etc. on the road. And I think Nissan have heard this and they've addressed it. So what they've done is they've incorporated a sound into the vehicle, so you can turn it off or on. So for now it's off. You won't be able to hear it from inside the vehicle, but it lets off a tiny little sort of almost like a white noise sound. So it's not loud, but you can hear something, and hopefully that's what Nissan Hope will do. Will stop anybody getting injured on the road and hear you coming. Now, in terms of the autonomous parts of it, which come with the range topping model, there are standards which include lane departure warnings, stay in lane, cruise control of course, and they are very effective and they're great to use in everyday situations. Obviously they're more accustomed to dual carriageways and motorways, but it works perfectly. It's a very strange thing to witness, to experience, because you can literally take your hands off the wheel and it will drive for you. It's perfect. However, it does not let you take your hands off the wheel for too long, around 10 seconds, and it will start to send you some vibrations and warn you. However, it is, if you ignore that, it will then bring the car to a stop in your lane, safe and securely, which is very nifty, very confusing possibly, but at least it makes people hold on to the wheel and be active at all times, because this will obviously overcome all the issues that we found or that we've heard through the media in terms of autonomous crashes and accidents, glitches, whatever. So I think they've done quite well and they've addressed that perfectly. Now, in terms of my favorite feature, it would have to be the e-pedal. So there is a brake system. I know a lot of people in the industry have been speaking about this. There is a mechanical brake. However, they have something called e-pedal, which is just down here. It's a tiny little switch, and what it does is if you take your foot off the accelerator, it will brake for you. Now, when doing that, it is sort of working with the battery to regenerate power, which of course adds to your range, which is great. It's a very, very weird thing to get used to, but within a couple of minutes, no problem at all. So for most of the testing, I haven't actually used the brake that much, and that may sound very odd, but if you've driven one of these before, you would understand what I'm trying to say. It's very nifty, and I think it makes the ride more comfortable and the experience easier, because you're really dealing with a go-kart. And well, I mean, what that leads me on to is how this thing drives, and it is like a go-kart. There is something very fun, there's a lot of charisma about the car, and I didn't think I'd find myself saying that about a Nissan Leaf, but here we are. Now, could this be the main selling point for the vehicle? Probably not for the kind of person that's buying this. However, I think it's a welcome feature that has really changed the experience of a Nissan Leaf and of a lower down EV. Now, it's fun, it's enjoyable, the ride is very, very comfortable. However, if you hit any potholes or speed bumps, because of the battery layout across the floor, it does get a bit jittery, but for most of the time it's very comfortable, and I have no complaints with that. Now, when it comes to charging, people are still going to be a bit skeptical about how to live with an EV. At home, you can literally plug it into a 3-plug socket, no problem at all. However, it does take the whole night to charge. I would guess it would be about 7 or 8 hours. However, most people will just leave it to charge overnight. Now, that's difficult for most people who do not have maybe a plug socket outside or anything like that, which is very common. Otherwise, you're going to have to use one of the many charging points scattered around London. When I say many, it has got a lot better. However, we are still lacking the infrastructure, of course. When you get to these chargers, it's around from 0% battery, you're looking at about 40 minutes charge, which for many is a little bit too long. Now, this will increase. God knows what they will do in terms of software updates, if that will do anything with the battery development, but I'm not sure it will in these early stages. There just needs to be a reduced time on charging. We need to get it under the half-an-hour mark, otherwise people aren't going to be able to live with it day to day. If you have to go to work and it's a half-an-hour journey and you need to fill up halfway, you're looking at doubling your journey time, and quite frankly, people aren't going to do that, and I understand that. Now, when they say this car is zero emissions, it is zero emissions entirely. So if we look elsewhere from the electric powertrain, or 100% electric powertrain, every plastic in here is 100% renewable, which sticks with Nissan's brand identity, and I really like that, because you can't compensate for each part of the vehicle. I think it needs to be a complete package, and I think the Nissan have completed that, and they are very, very good at it. So, what's the final verdict? Well, this is a great EV. I think it's a great alternative to petrol and diesel variants, and it doesn't seem to have the same downsides that other EVs have had in the past, including the old Nissan Leaf. Now, of course, this is an electric car, and that will be a main buying point for people, saving the planet, being greener, etc., because that's the way that everything's going. However, I believe that the main thing that will make someone like myself buy a vehicle like this is the enjoyment, the experience. And without this even being electric, it is a great car, great all-around family car to drive. It's fun, which I never thought I'd say. It's secure, it's easy to live with, and I think that by providing a new experience through an electrified powertrain with no torque lag or anything like that, or the negatives that you get with the petrol or diesel engine, such as noise, they've perfectly encapsulated what an EV should be. And I know we always look forward at what the EVs can be. And I think finally we can look at a vehicle like this new Nissan Leaf and say, we are here. Now, there's some way to go in terms of infrastructure, yes. However, that is nothing to do with the vehicle today. It's about government grants, or how the automakers are going to work with people to get that sort of support. But if we're looking at the car as on its own, this is quite frankly the best EV on the market today. I'm Kreetzer, and I'm the editor of New Mobility Visions, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Have a good day.